To really understand what coordinate geometry is about, we need to start from something that we are all used to, which is the cardinal point. So let me just draw a straight line to draw the cardinal point that we are used to, right? We have another straight line here. So the middle here is the connection between these two lines, right? But we have this one is north, this one is south, this one is east, and this is west. Okay, so what the middle here, let's call it, that's the starting point, right? So they're going to call it the origin. So this is the origin basically. Okay, but then you have to know something, that this particular cardinal point is basically drawn by two lines. This is line 1, north and south, and west and east. So those are directions. The direction, whether you go west or east or north and south, right? North or south, west and east are two main directions that we have. Okay, so because it is two direction kind of line or plane, right, we are going to call it two directions. So you can say 2D, right? But then it's a plane. It's actually working in a plane, like a flat thing. So focus on it as a plane that you can draw on a plain paper, right? So 2D plane, this is a plane that we have. So we call it this thing a 2D plane. It's not actually called two directional line, but we call it two dimension 2D line, two dimensional plane, right? Two dimension. So we also have two dimensional plane. We have one dimensional plane, right? Line, right? So that's just a straight line that we have a cardinal point 0. There's number line 2, 3, 4, -1, -2, -3. This is number line. So the number line is 1D plane. But if you have one line and another line together, that become 2D plane. So if you have the chance to hear of 3D planes, yes, you guess right, meaning that there will be three lines, and 3D planes, there will be three lines. We have the X, we have the Z, and we have another one called the Z. So we have Z, we have X, and we have Y. So that one is a 3D, but that's not the focus. Our focus is on 2D plane. So we know what a 2D plane is from a cardinal point and things that we are used to already. Okay, let me clean this side that we don't need. The next thing that we need to understand is that the origin here is the starting point. Everything on this line, this line that we have, should be demarcated into steps. They should be demarcated into steps or divided into steps. What do I mean by that? You have the origin here, they are going to make it 0, because we have from the number line, right? We have 0, then we have 1, 2 going, and -1, -2 going, right? So each of these from 0 to 1 is a step, from this one to is another step, so it builds up, right? So the origin is going to be 0. So this same 0 is going to serve as the origin for both the west, east, and then the north, south distance. So if you are moving from 0, you can either go left or right, or you can go top and down, right? So let's focus on each of them and draw the steps. For the steps, right, we are going to start from the origin. So we already know that the middle is called the origin. Now this origin, so we can put it into steps. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. This is like the normal line. I'm just drawing the number line on a straight line like I used to do. It's just that there's another line here. So you have -1, -2, -3. Another way of seeing this is that this place we are going left, and this place we are going right. Okay. So and then we have another straight line. The straight line that decides this particular straight line, top and down direction, is showing you whether you go up or down, right? So up or down is another direction again, right? So for the up or down, you can go either the top, the up. So if you go up, that become positive steps, 3, 4, then you can continue, right? If you go down, negative step, -1, -2, -3, -4 going. So these are how to demarcate the point, right? So basically you can see it as we having two number lines that are intersecting together perfectly at a perpendicular line of 90 degrees basically here. But then that's not the focus now. We are trying to understand what coordinate geometry is. So these two lines, this line 1 and then this one are coordinating. They are coordinating to give us a plane. Right? So that's we are going to be doing coordination. You're going to be doing a lot of stuff within these coordinates. Okay, now let's look at this. This side, the north and the east, right? If you put them together like this, they have a region between them. A region between north and east. So like we have this particular region between the north and the east, right? This region between them, right, is, yeah, is for them. We have, let's call it region one. Then there is another region between, on the other side. Let me clean this side. There's another region here. Let's clean it. So we have this, let's call it region two. And then we have another region here, right, between west and the south. So I'm going to call it region three. And there's another one here. Let's try and call it region four. So there are basically four regions that you have at the end of the day, right? Between east and north, there's a region. Between north and west, there's a region. Between west and south, there's a region, and this. So now each of these regions, how many regions do you have? You have four, right? You have four. So each of these regions is called a quadrant. Quadrant. So if you have heard of quadruple, double, triple, quadruple, right? Quadruple just means four times of something, right? So each of the regions is called quadrants because this is one of the four regions, basically one of the four regions. So we are going to be talking about the positive, the east, the positive right, and the top side. That one will form a region. So this is region one. Then you go to region two. So quadrant, first quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant, and fourth quadrant. So you keep that in mind. What quadrants are? So quadrants are here, 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 and here, right? Okay, that's good. Now we are going to move from this. We are going to use the same idea to move away from the concept of right and left to give a general name. To give a general name to these number lines. We are going to give a general name to this number line. We are not going to call them the coordinates, the north and right and things, right? So negative 1, 4. I think I misspelled 4. Okay. Now let me clean this. We don't need the west name. We don't need these names again. We are going to move away from that. We are going to keep the same plane, but then we are going to give it a general name to each of the line, the two lines. So this is line 1 and this is line 2. So right, this line will continue like this. So we are moving from somewhere here towards the right, so moving forward, right? And this one can also move from here going up, right? So you can also move from here going now negative. This one too can move and go more negative, right? This one can move more positive, more positive. So if you're on this line, this is the positive side. This is the positive side of it. If you are, and this is the negative side of it. So this is the negative. Let me call this one positive. But if you're on this line, the top and down, and the top going is the positive, and then the down going is the negative side of this direction. Okay, so if we are good with that, we know that we are going to name them again. So the lines are, they are basically two lines. So why should we have west and north and things? So generally the line that is horizontal, right, that's going left and right, we usually call them the x line, right? The x line. And then the one that's going up, we generally call it the y line. We are going to call this line the y line. So by the non-line, but we're going to call it x axis, because they are just forming the limitation. They are delimiters. They are forming as delimiters or borders for each region. So they are the main lines. We have the x axis and the y axis, the x axis on the y axis, and each of them have steps, right? And those steps, each of them, the y axis and the x axis, they both coordinate, right? And they have steps on them. So those ones, because of that, we are going to call this one we can call this y axis, or you can call it the y coordinate. They are coordinating, and we can call this one the s coordinate, right? Yeah, so we have the s coordinate and y coordinate, or you can call it the y axis and the x axis. The axis is the line. The coordinates are, it's going to give you the idea of the group of points that are on this axis, right? So they coordinate together to form a point, basically. So I say each of these numbered things are like the steps on each line, or just like a number line, those numbers on the number line that you are used to. Okay, so that's how to understand s coordinates and y coordinates and all that. Now we need to, of this, how do they coordinate? That will become the question. When we say coordinate, that become the question. So now it's like going, we are at the origin here, and you want to go to someone's house, right? The x coordinate determines how much you go left or right, and the y axis determines how much you go forward and backward, right? Forward or backward. So let's say we want to move to a point here, right? We are the origin. We are the origin here, and we want to move to this point. How can we go, right? How can we get there? So what happened is that you have to use the coordinate to test lead you there. You have to move the coordinate to lead you there. So you can, there are two things you do on the x-axis, right? On the x-axis, I can decide to move 3 steps on the x-axis, and then from here I can now move straight to the point. But then that one is going to cost me how many steps on the y-axis? It's also going to cost me 3 steps on the y-axis, because see, this is going to be 1, 2, 3. So at this point, for me to get to this point, I need to move 3 steps on towards the positive side on the x-axis, and 3 steps up towards on the y-axis, right? In the y direction, positive y direction. So this particular point is going to be labeled, but before that, each point that you have, right, you have to focus s come first, because before the y, the steps that you take, the steps taken on the x-axis comes before the steps that you take on the y-axis also follows up. So on this one, for us to label this point, we are going to label it how many steps did we take on the x-axis is 3, right? We are taking 3 steps, so 3 comma how many steps did we take from on the y-axis? We are going to take we take 3 again, so that becomes 3. So 3 comma 3 becomes the point that we have here. So this point is labeled at 3 comma 3. Let me use another point. Let's say we want to be at this point, this small point over here. So it's going to cost me how many steps? 1, 2 steps on the x-axis, and only 1 step up, on the y-axis. So this particular point is going to be 2 steps on the x-axis, and then 1 step on the y-axis. Okay, now but because if the other point was here 3 comma 3, it's not nice to just have numbers there, right? We can actually label them with an alphabet, right? So I can say this point is called point A, and this point is called point B. So I have point A has the coordinate 3 comma 3. So A, no one will put equal to sign. Don't do this. A equals to 3 comma 3. We don't do that. It's just A, and the brackets comes 3 comma 3, right? So the B will be B 2 comma 1. B just means that 2 steps on the x-axis from the origin, and y point on the axis from the origin. So if we are given a point to place on this coordinate, right, to place on this coordinate, we can do that. So we just basically focus on the steps taken. So let's say we have a point that is a point P, -1 comma 4. So what is this telling me? That the point, that the number that comes first is to be read on the x-axis from the origin, right? Let me clean this arrow. So we mean that from the origin you have to go -1. -1 is towards this side, so from here to here, this side. So we are here on the x-axis, right? Now on the y-axis, which is this point, we need to move 4 steps up, so become 1, 2, 3, 4. So the point is actually here. So P is here, -1 comma 4 is here, right? This is where it is. So now we have located the point. So I can also have point A again. Let me 3 comma 5. No, 5 is too much. It will be out of my distance. But then let me just use something small like 2 comma 3, for example, or -3, for example. Yeah. So it means that we are going to move 2 steps from the origin, 2 steps on the x-axis, because this is the x value on this point. So 2 steps, 1, 2, then we are here, right? And then 3 steps, -3 steps down on the y-axis. On the y-axis, we move -3 steps, meaning that we are going down. So become 1, 2, 3. So the point is actually here. Point A is 2 comma -3. So now that's how to place the point. So you can do that. You can try as many examples that you have, come up with any. If you want me to help you, you can do like point B, do point -1 comma -1. Point C, you can try the example of -2 comma -3. You can try all these examples and place the point on the axis. Right now we have the general overview of what we are going to do, what the x coordinate, the y coordinate and things are. See you in the next session.